I'm going to give an overview here now of the steps involved in planting up a hanging basket. I'm going to use a basket that we sell here on the gardenshop.ie, and I thought the wireframe one here is a good example because it brings together a number of different factors in how to use this in conjunction with, we'll say, a moss liner, and also how to put in trailing plants at the base rather than just having all the plants hanging from above. Now, I'm doing this quite late in the year, so this is quite an unusual hanging basket I'm going to do today, which is a winter hanging basket, okay? But the general concept, we'll say, for the main baskets that will be put out in the late spring for the whole summer and autumn, it's very much the same. So I'm just going to start off here, and it's a 12-inch basket here, so I'm going to use a 12-inch moss liner here. And we just push it in here like this, okay? Now, one thing, the very first thing I'm going to do here is, before I go any further, is I'm just going to get a double handful of multi-purpose compost here and place it into the pot here, okay? And next what I'm going to do is I'm just going to rotate this around slightly. I'm just going to line this up. And you can just look at the range of different plants. We're somewhat limited here in the winter things. We have trailing ivies here, we have some nice sedums here, we have some headers as well, some nice hanging small white flowers here, and also then we have a conifer here. Now in the winter time, something like this conifer can be quite good, simply because lack of flowering, something that has quite bright foliage can be quite attractive as well, okay? So the first thing I'm going to do here is actually plant up an ivy, and instead of doing it like we would traditionally with hanging baskets, hanging everything from above, this wireframe basket allows us to actually come along and we can actually plant this close to the base of the plant or of the basket. And what we actually do is we just simply push through the ivy like this, and then if I just tilt over this basket here, you can see that the roots and things like this are inside in the compost, okay? So the next thing I'll do and come along here is I'll actually come along and put some more general purpose compost in, okay? Now, something that we could consider using, we'll say, particularly if it was a summertime basket where a lot of watering would be required, okay? It's probably the biggest struggle with hanging baskets, a requirement, particularly in hot weather, to water them every day, and in general purpose, certainly no more than 2 to 3 days in between watering our baskets, and the more frequent the better. A popular product is something like this water mat here, which you would plant just below the root level in the basket, and what it does is it retains water and then it releases it slowly. And a big advantage of this is that it minimises the amount of watering in terms of effort, and also it gives a much more even spread of water over the season, okay? Now, because this is a winter basket, in all likelihood we won't need this. If we water it reasonably regularly, the basket should be okay. So what we need to do then is make a decision on what other plants we're going to plant up. Well, we don't want to overplant it, and we don't have too much of a mixture. We want to have a bit of an impact. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to use these sedums here. So we're actually going to plant up 3 of them in total, which you can see here. And the amount of, you can see here this is working out quite well, because with a little bit of compaction here, the top of this is just below the level of the basket itself, okay? And then for a little splash of colour, what I think we should probably do is maybe go for something like this, nice white flower here, and plant this at the edge, simply to maximise the chance that it'll hang down, okay? So that's it anyway. So in terms of the overall height of the style that we want to achieve afterwards, we want to find ourselves maybe, I don't know, maybe 8 to 10 millimetres just below the height of the basket, which means that we can water without soil dropping out and things like this. So what we'll do here is we just take up another handful here, and we just work it in with our fingers all around. I suppose this is where the aesthetic judgment comes in here as well. You probably want to maybe just position it to give the maximum aesthetic value in terms of how you've planted it up, okay? So that's it. And then the final step here would to come along and to water it. And I suppose the main, in terms of this general purpose compost, it comes with fertilizer in it. So what you have a situation here is that you have you won't need to do anything with it, even if planted in the summertime, for the first probably 4 weeks or so, and start feeding it then. And in the winter time, because the plants are obviously less demanding, probably the period before you have to start feeding it is extended again. So possibly not the most ornate basket here, but hopefully people have got the general concept of what's involved in planting up a hanging basket.